Bitcoin rallied up to $71,758 yesterday, setting a new lower high on the daily time frame. This is the fourth lower high for BTC, and so the question on everyone's lips is this the breakout, or is this where we start to see a drop in the price action of Bitcoin? Guys, let's roll the intro and get right down into it. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another Bitcoin video update where I'll be giving you my Bitcoin price prediction for the short term. My name is Nick and welcome to Cheeky Crypto. If you are new here, why don't you go ahead and subscribe? And if you do get into today's video and find it useful, informative, maybe even entertaining, smash that like button, guys. I really do appreciate it. Let's kick things off with this chart right here. So this is Bitcoin paired up with USDT. We're on the 1-day Binance chart here for BTC. And you can see that we have yet again come up into a new lower high here for BTC. As I said earlier, this is a fourth test of this area, okay, coming up to this higher range. You can see that the first one happened over here on the 14th of March when we had $73,777. The second test was the 8th of April at a high of $72,797.99. And then we had the third test on the 21st of March coming in at $71,979. And then yesterday at the $71,758. So what we're looking for here is we're looking for a breakout. We want to see Bitcoin's price go up into a higher high on the daily time frame, signaling a reversal in the market. Now, I've drawn this trend line on just to depict the lower highs that we are seeing here for BTC. We can also note that there are, of course, lower lows also occurring here on the price action of BTC. The first one that we really saw was on the 20th of March, coming in at the low of 60,775. We then saw another lower low on the 1st of May, this one being the 56,552. So the question becomes, are we going to be moving back down into those ranges, and are we going to be in the bearish territory for the month of June into July? And well, I'm not so convinced. I think we might actually see a little bit of volatility for BTC, but ahead of the next big run into new all-time highs. Now, that might sound a little bit odd, but let's go ahead and break down what's going on here. So up in this range that we've kind of been talking about and depicting for a while, 69,709 to 72,167. This was the first area that we saw rejection. We're back up here and we're likely to see a little bit of volatility. Now, you can see that we had a three-way movement to the upside here, and we can show this just within this range, and it comes right into its expected range. I'm going to show you that right in here. I'm just going to draw another yellow box, remove the Fibonacci tool, and you can see that we've wicked up right into this little yellow box between 71,053 and 72,139. Okay, this means that we did actually complete a three-wave pattern right here, and our expected expectations should now be that we end up going in a bit more of a ranging market, going sideways, looking to find support on its 50-day exponential moving average and 50 simple moving average. This drop to the downside, I think, will be short-lived. I don't think it's going to be anything major. We're talking maybe 7% for Bitcoin over the next week or so. And it might get a few people kind of trapped or liquidated as they kind of go long, but for the most part, that's kind of my expectations. This will be a great support area and then a rally. We were initially looking at the 63 to 65K, just lower than the 50 simple moving average, the yellow line coming through here, and the 50 EMA, the blue line. However, that was quite some time ago, and I think things have changed quite a bit. We'll go ahead and now reassess based on the high that we had yesterday. We can see that actually our target range is going to be more between 64,834 and 66,101, okay, approximately. I've removed that off. You can kind of see how this now coincides with the 50 simple moving average and 50 exponential moving averages, meaning that we're likely to see a little bit of volatility here as we come down to this range. This will then allow us to then have that breakout situation that I was talking about and new all-time highs for BTC. So I guess the story here is that we're kind of progressing quite nicely. It's taken a little bit of time. We've seen a lot of volatility. We've seen a lot of liquidity grabbing and occurring ever since we had that initial all-time high on the 14th of March. We've seen the price go down, up, and so forth. And lots of liquidations have occurred during all of this volatility. Okay, not just with Bitcoin, but also in the altcoin market. So I think for the most part, we are in a very interesting spot. Although we do have the potential to just break out here, I don't think there's a guarantee of any of that. I think the higher probability is that we actually move down before we get that breakout. But I'd love to be wrong, and I'd like to see the breakout much earlier. We were originally talking about 72 to 73, but I think that's now out of the water. We can kind of remove that. Now, the other thing that we have to kind of consider is everything that's going on right inside this little move to the upside right here. Let's go ahead and take our fibs and measure out what's going on here, because I do think we've come right up into our range on a 1-to-1. Okay, so this looks to me like we have a kind of WXY situation here. Okay, we can see that we have the WXY going up here, and then we're just looking for basically finishing this off with this sideways ranging so that we can then go ahead and get a lift up towards the 78 to 86K, which will put us right where we need to be. Actually, if we go ahead and measure this out, I think that's going to put us in a really good, reasonable position. We might actually rally up a tad higher. I'm going to take the worst case scenario here, and you can see it's going to be more towards the $82,000 to $87,000. So I'm going to go ahead and actually draw in a little yellow box to depict this right now. So you can kind of see we're talking about this little overlap area here. This will then basically become a three-wave pattern in itself, like this, and we can see a new all-time high here for BTC. After this, depending actually whether we get a rally higher, we could talk about that next kind of leg up, or we can kind of see rejection here briefly before we continue moving to the upside. So for BTC, that's kind of where I look at this on our daily time frame. We're looking for a bit more volatility. We're looking for 64 to 66K, around the kind of 50 simple moving average, 50 exponential moving average, and then a rally to the upside. Now, if we take smart money concepts into consideration here, we can see that actually there's some interesting areas here that's worth noting. On the smaller time frames, we had a positive change of character into a bullish state of play and a break of structure to confirm that. And so we do normally expect to see after a break of structure a bit of a cooling off period. So again, kind of coincides with this area here. There's a couple of fair value gaps that I'm not expecting to get filled out just yet. But again, we'll keep an eye on all of those as well. This little green area right here is an area of discount. So basically that's where a lot of buying pressure has occurred and will likely to continue to occur. And as such, we could potentially see the support areas of the 50 simple moving average and 50 exponential moving averages holding out here on the daily time frame. Okay, so looking pretty good from a smart money concepts point of view, to be honest with you. If we come up and bring in our stochastic RSIs, you can see that we're heavily overbought now for the daily stochastic, along with the 8 hour. So we are going to be looking for that volatility to the downside. Not yet though, because it does look like we still have potential volatility on the smaller time frames, like the 1 hour and 4 hour, to continue rallying up, meaning that although we have this high at the moment, I do expect us to be testing it out again before we move on down. I don't think we're going to be straight dropping down today, for example. I expect probably another 1 to 2 days of green or kind of dojo candles, indecisive market, and then rejection. Or like I said earlier, though, I would quite happily see a breakout here into new higher highs on the daily time frame and invalidate the idea that we do have this move to the downside in this particular structure. A move continuing higher wouldn't necessarily kind of be the end of the bearish movements, because you do need to correct the momentum indicator, indicating that we are likely to see a reversal in the market. The only question becomes, is this the correct pattern, or are we going up a little bit higher before we get that correction? So we'll keep a close eye on that. We are close to going into a higher high on the daily time frame, so just bear that in mind. And on the daily time, on these 1 hour and 4 hour time frames, we have the ability to go up into a new higher high on the daily time frame based on momentum indicators like the stochastic. The daily, of course, is still progressing upwards, and then we can see this one move down. So I'm not expecting any immediate downward price pressure. I'm just expecting it over the next week or so. On the divergence indicator, you can see plenty of momentum to the upside on the RSI, the yellow line coming through here, but there is no divergences, meaning that the RSI and price are aligned. We're not seeing any kind of hidden bullish divergence, bearish divergence, or anything like that. So for the most part, not actually all that bad. And volume profiles are quite interesting, because as we kind of see this move to the upside here, volume profiles have actually been decreasing, right? So volumes have decreased as prices kind of been coming up into this range. Also an indication that this is potentially probably not going to last the way that a lot of the bulls kind of want it to. So let's go ahead and roll this up into a weekly time frame. And on our weekly time frame, you can see just how much bullish momentum we have seen for Bitcoin since the Bitcoin spot ETF kind of news and concept kind of broke. Once we kind of got above that weekly 200 exponential moving average, we've kind of really found it as great support. Currently, that is sat at 33,000, with the 50 EMA at 49,000 and the 50 simple moving average at 44,700. Ultimately, the weekly chart is incredibly bullish. We can see here that we do have plenty of upward momentum on the weekly time frame. But you've got to bear in mind, each one candle is a week in time, meaning that there's going to be a lot of volatility to be seen before we actually start to get into that next big run to the upside. But I do think it's coming. I'm expecting us to see some really, really strong moves in the market over the coming months. And as you can kind of see, we are looking to target out somewhere between $101,000 and $118,000 before we potentially get down into the next kind of bearish market. So for BTC, we're looking pretty decent here with some pretty good progression to the upside. If, of course, we do see 118K approximately, this is going to actually put us in a really interesting spot when it comes to understanding where we are likely to kind of see the diminishing gains over time. Let me go ahead and just try and draw in a approximate line here. You can kind of see that if we were to see diminishing gains over time, which we have done historically, then of course the $118,000 is going to put us right in line with our expectations over the previous bullish markets. Again, all the way back here from 2017, but it goes even further all the way to 2013. I've been through this before, but maybe I'll go through it again in another video where if we connect all of the peaks, then yeah, we are talking around $118,000 for BTC by the time this bull market comes to a close. Guys, you can let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Are you bullish short term or bearish short term? Let me know. If you found it useful, smash the like button. If you're new, subscribe. And if you haven't checked out this video right here, go ahead, check it out. I'm trading $10,000, trying to turn it into 100K.